Hey, you guys. Hey. Okay, so I have another prophetic dream to share with y'all. All right. This prophetic dream that God wanted me to share is called God's Way is the Best Way. Okay. This prophetic dream is for some people right now. You may be dealing with this right now. Jesus is Lord. Y'all been struggling, Lord have mercy, with sharing these dreams. Y'all pray for me. But this one is called God's Way is the Best Way. All right? God's way is the best way, okay? And so basically, Jesus is Lord. How this dream starts out is I'm in this place and I'm sitting at a table. It's like a table that's it's like a two-seater table where it's seats for two people, and it's me there and another prophetic voice, right? Now the other person I'm sitting across from, this is somebody that I follow, so I know this is a prophetic voice. And we're talking a little bit at the table. And long story short, we're sitting there and we're talking a little bit, right? And through talking, we find that we have some similar things in common. And I end up getting up from the table though, because I felt like they were kind of misunderstanding me a little bit, right? So I end up getting up from the table because I'm feeling a little misunderstood. And then I was kind of like, I had a lot of different feelings going on where I was feeling, hold on, y'all. I gotta get my notebook, okay? So y'all see me looking down. I'm looking at my notes. I always gotta have my notebook for these dreams, okay? So, okay. So if y'all see me looking down, I'm looking at the notebook. So anyways, when I was sitting at the table talking to them, I was feeling tired, annoyed, because I was dealing with a lot, okay? So my feelings around that time, I was tired, annoyed, I was dealing with a lot. And I wasn't annoyed with the person. It was just, I was dealing with a lot, okay? And I felt like but with that particular person, I felt like they were misunderstanding me in a conversation. And Jesus is Lord. I wasn't going to share this part at first. Okay, y'all. So I could be soft spoken. I know some of y'all be like, she is so nice. And yeah, I am nice, but my personality is very layered. It's extremely layered. I feel everything on 10. I'm an extremely passionate person. So when I'm nice, I'm super nice. I may be a little overly nice, but at the same time, like I mentioned before, I'm also the type you're not going to like me if I'm angry, right? I feel literally all my emotions on 10, okay? Jesus is Lord. I'm a very passionate person. And so anyways, I kind of felt like the person I was sitting with was misunderstanding me a little bit. And I don't know if they were making assumptions. And I felt like they had me twisted, okay? Jesus is Lord. I feel like either they were taking my kindness for weakness or they had me twisted. And I was like, let me get up before I hurt their feelings. Jesus is Lord. It was something similar to that, okay? That's what I was feeling while I was sitting at the table with this person. And so, Jesus is Lord. I felt like I was being misunderstood, but I also had respect for the person. Okay. I had respect for them as well. So I kind of got up too because I felt like I was being misunderstood. And then I did not want to misrepresent myself. I felt like I was possibly misrepresenting myself by coming across a certain way because I was already dealing with so much while I was sitting there talking to them. And you ever know, like, if you're dealing with a lot and then you're talking to someone, like say maybe you were angry and then you take it out on somebody else and that's not your intention. So anyways, it was kind of that type of thing. Okay, so that's the first scene of the dream. I'm sitting at a table with another prophetic voice and we're talking. And when I say another prophetic voice, somebody who basically does what I do right now, like make videos and stuff like this. It was somebody I recognized that I know of, and we were talking. Okay, so what God showed me was me sitting at the table and her sitting at the table. We were both in position. Okay. Jesus is Lord. Us sitting at the table represented us being in position, the position God told us to be in. We were sharing a table. So here's the thing. And the way God showed me this is because I literally had a dream about this same person last night. And in the dream I had about them last night, we were sharing a table again, except this table appeared to be in somebody's apartment, but it was still like a two-seater. I was sitting on one end, they were sitting on one end. And then the way that dream transitioned, when I had the dream about them last night and we were sitting at the table, we weren't talking at all to each other. We were silent. She was working on something on her end of the table, and I was working on something on my end of the table. And then when the dream transitioned, this is the dream I had last night, y'all. When it transitioned, we were in a gym. And when I looked over at her, I noticed that we had like similar body types or whatever, right? Y'all, I'm a little hippie, right? I'm a little hippie. I got hips, right? And when I looked at her in the gym, I said, oh, she's here too in the gym. And her body type looks similar to mine, which that's like in a natural, because she's shown pictures or videos. It didn't seem that way in the pictures or videos, but at the gym in a dream, it looked like we had the same body type. So God kept pointing out different similarities we had. And basically what he was showing me is this is somebody who's kind of in the same place that I'm in. Someone he's been training and someone he's been taking through a process of purification, okay? And once again, it started out with us both sitting at the table and then transitioning, getting up to go somewhere else, okay? Jesus is Lord. And y'all, I pray I don't sound confusing. Okay, so from the dream I had last night that piggybacked on the one I'm sharing now, after we get up, after I have the scene where we're at the table, the next scene we're in the gym. And I see her and I'm like, oh, we got the same body type, right? I didn't know that. Similarities, right? And then after that, we end up going into the basketball area. They have like a basketball court. This gym had the same layout as the gym I go to. And they end up going into that, we end up going into that basketball area, right? And when I go in there, instead of being an empty court for people to play basketball, I see a bunch of chairs lined up in the front, and God brought to mind graduation, okay? Jesus is Lord. If God leads me to share that full dream with y'all, I will. But for right now, I'm gonna leave it right there, okay? So that's how God showed me what this part meant. The fact that me and her were basically in the same season of our life. That's how I know this dream is not just for me, okay? So when God shows me things in dreams and people in dreams, oftentimes he shows me people in groups. Everybody doesn't go through the same exact thing at the same exact time, which is why a lot of times he leads me to reshare certain prophetic dreams, because they may have been in season for some people, you know, a year ago, but now they're just now coming into season for others, right? So God will meet us where we are. Jesus is Lord. So anyways, back to the dream I'm sharing now that God titled God's Way is the Best Way. He showed me us sitting at that table, showed that we were both in position. And while we were talking at the tables, different similarities that we had, we kept having different things in common. He said we were in the same position. We had both been going through training, right? That's why he related it to the dream I had last night where we were at the gym. But now it was time to get up, right? When I got up, the next scene of the dream, I'm in transition. And I'm in this apartment complex. This is this is the dream I'm sharing with y'all now. The one that God titled God's Way is the Best Way. So when I got up from this dream, next scene, I'm in transition, walking down this apartment complex, right? And I'm trying to find my way home, okay? Jesus is Lord, y'all. These dreams, for me, they're hard to share only because my dreams connect. A lot of my dreams connect. So I'll be trying to explain what God is telling me and also to relay how he showed it to me. Because a lot of y'all, you know, y'all have dreams too. So my dreams are like continual stories. They're like episodes. And that can be from like I could have a dream a year ago. And then he gives me a dream like last night and they're connecting, right? So that's kind of how God speaks to me in that way, okay? And so anyways, Jesus is Lord. Okay, so he showed me we had both been in position during our assignment, but now it was time to transition. There was a graduation taking place. All right, that's something he gave me from the combination of both the introductions of the dreams I just shared. So there was a graduation taking place, elevation was taking place. And I don't know where she went after that. I only know where I went. But he was just showing me that this was for more than just me. And so there's a graduation taking place. There was a transition taking place. Elevation was taking place, okay? I got up from the chair because I had an assignment to do. Now, the feelings I felt while I was talking to her, it wasn't nothing personal against her. God showed me those feelings I was feeling tired, annoyed, or like I was annoyed at what I was dealing with. I had some stuff going on in the background, so I was annoyed. I was frustrated. And I felt like I was being misunderstood. God says some of y'all have been having those kinds of feelings, feeling tired of the situation you've been in, feeling annoyed with certain things you've been having to deal with, or feeling misunderstood, right? Feeling misunderstood. And like I said, y'all, I felt like she had me twisted for a minute when I felt like she misunderstood me, okay? So some of y'all may have been in certain situations where even how some people have handled you or unfair situations, you may feel like, they got you messed up, basically. Jesus is Lord. And before you get to the point where you about to just go outside your character, God is just calling you out of that place completely. Jesus is Lord. And sometimes God will allow you to get uncomfortable in a place too when he is calling you out. Okay? Whether that's a home, a job, position, church, whatever, organization, a relationship. Some of y'all are literally reaching y'all breaking point. So it was like, let me move around before, there's a misunderstanding. So that's something that God was bringing to mind. Jesus is Lord. And then I also felt like I had possibly misrepresented myself because of what I was going through. So some of y'all may have also dealt with feeling misunderstood and possibly feeling like, yeah, that goes hand in hand, feeling misunderstood and feeling like you misrepresented yourself. But all you really been trying to do is stay in step with God. And the people around, it may look odd to the people around because God is giving you certain instructions, and the instructions that God gives don't really make sense to man, right? The instructions that God normally gives don't seem like they're not normally the most logical instructions. So it's going to look odd. And sometimes you may feel misunderstood, and people may question if you got it right. Would God really ask you to do this? Would he really expect you to do that? Right? So I got up to head, after that, I got up to head off to do my assignment. Basically, I was headed home. And when I got up, it was like I was leaving that position. I went from sitting at this table, sharing this table with another prophetic voice, to leaving that table. God had a shine out to me that I got up. So elevation, I got up and I was headed somewhere else. So some of y'all, as God is transitioning y'all, calling y'all somewhere else, he's really calling you higher. Okay? He's calling you higher. He gave me a dream back in April where he basically showed me that he wanted to take a lot of people higher in him, in their relationship with him. He wanted to take y'all deeper. He wanted to take the relationship to the next level. But Jesus Lord, from the dream he showed me, it had gone as far as it was in that particular place, right? So some of y'all, how he was showing it to me, he's grown you as much as he's going to grow you in that place, in that position. And he's calling you higher. So for some of y'all physically have to transition somewhere to meet him where he is. Okay? Whatever, Jesus is Lord. And this is going to make sense for whoever it's for. Whatever position God has had you in for training, for preparation. A lot of y'all had to go through purification. Whatever position he's had you in all this time, it's been to develop things in you, okay? It's been a part of your training. It's been a part of your development. And him, he's been doing a lot all at once, you guys. All of this has not been for nothing. So he's been removing things from us that can't go. Jesus is Lord. He is freeing us. right? He is freeing us from the lies of the enemy. He's been exposing. He's been doing a lot of internal work and training. It's been a lot happening all at once, okay? So basically, it's like he may have put y'all in certain positions for a certain period of time for a purpose, but now it's run its course and you've gotten all you're going to get out of that place, okay? And now he's ready to move on. He's ready to move forward, okay? That's what I was getting from him. He was ready to move forward. So me getting up from that table was like us getting up from that table. That's like we're no longer there in that position. He's ready to move forward. Now I was headed home. That was the next assignment, okay? And what home could be for some people, because God is, anytime God has referenced home for me, it's like a promise. It's like a promised land. That's what is represented for me in the dreams I've had about it. Home, when he referenced home, it's like a promise. So some of y'all are literally walking into something that God promised y'all. You're walking into it. That's where you're headed, okay? Okay, so I mentioned that the feelings I was having while I was talking to this prophetic voice, this person, it wasn't anything that this person, it's nothing in the natural I need to worry about with this person. What God showed me, those were feelings I was experiencing while I was in that position. Okay, those were different feelings that were being experienced while I was in that position. Jesus is Lord. And another reason I know too, y'all, I'm just going to share this with y'all just in case it's helpful if y'all have dreams as well. This is not the first time I had a dream of myself sitting at a table with a prophetic voice. I think it was last year. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it was the end of last year. I had a different dream. It's actually the very first dream I had of myself sitting at the table. I was sitting at the table with two other prophetic voices. These were two completely different people, and then the one that God just showed me last night, and they're at a higher level, like in their gifting, and they just on a whole nother level. So when God gave me a dream, like with me sitting at the table with them, I was like mind blown. So that's how God showed me it was elevation. Okay. Jesus is Lord. That table was bigger too. The table I was sharing with them was bigger. Jesus is Lord. So God is calling again. That's just confirmation that God is calling a lot of his people higher right now. And again, God's way is the best way. Okay. I said when I got up, it was like I was leaving that position. I got up and walked away. God highlighted that to me. When I got up, I walked away. Okay. So he was saying God has been calling so many people to walk away from some things. People, places, things. And this is a part of the assignment. All right. So when I got up, I walked away. That's something he calls to stand out. He said he's calling some of y'all to walk away. Walk away from some jobs, walk away from some homes, walk away from some relationships, walk away from your comfort zones, right? God has been calling some of y'all to walk away from different people, places, and things, okay? Jesus is Lord. This is a part of the assignment. Walking away is a part of the assignment. It's in my notes, so I gotta say it, okay? And I had thought to use my phone. So when I walked away, I found myself the next scene of the dream, after we're at that table, next scene of the dream, I found myself in this apartment complex, right? So I'm in this apartment complex. It looked like an apartment complex, y'all. That's what it reminded me of. Like when you walk into an apartment complex and they have a path that you follow alongside of the apartments, like the concrete walkway. So I was walking on that. And when I was walking on that, I had the thought to pull out my phone to use my GPS system, right? And I had to make sure I had this in my notes so I didn't forget it. So I thought to use my phone. And I thought just so I could use the GPS system, I had a GPS in my phone telling me the direction home. It was telling me how to get home, basically how to get to the promise, okay? And I had the thought come to mind, I better use this phone, or I better use this phone so they wouldn't take it from me. Jesus is Lord. I had the thought come to mind, I better use this phone so they wouldn't take it from me. And when I say they, I was concerned that a cop or police officer would take my phone if I wasn't using it. right? So I pulled it out to use my GPS system that would tell me the way to get home. And I had the thought come to mind, if I don't use it, they may take it from me. Jesus is Lord. What God brought to mind is using your gift, okay? God expects us to use our gifts. And he brought up the talents, the parable of the talents, and how the master gave his servants a certain amount of talents according to what he believed they can handle. And when he came back, he expected a return on that investment. He expected them to be fruitful and multiply. God has given us gifts, okay? He's been pouring his spirit out like never before. He's been giving us different gifts, different assignments, different instructions, and he's expected us to use them. I just got to put it out there because he did, okay? And so I had the thought, like my phone was a gift. And I had the thought, I better use it so they don't take it away from me, so the police don't take it away from me, which was crazy. I said, if I don't use it, a cop might take my phone from me, so I better use it if I don't want to lose it. Jesus is Lord. And also, you guys, when we use the gifts and talents that God gives us, it grows. He gives us more, okay? So if you're a prophetic dreamer, or I'm just going to use myself, for example, okay? Jesus is Lord. As I've been doing this in obedience to him, y'all, to me, it's a little easier sharing prophetic words than it is prophetic dreams. Jesus is Lord, because it feels like so much pressure and I don't want to miss anything. And it's a lot of information. And a lot of times after I share it, after I post the dream, I see even more in it than I didn't see before. And I'm like, oh God, I missed this, or I want to add that. And it's just, these dreams be so much more deeper than I always originally understand. And especially as it starts to unfold. And y'all struggle with being a perfectionist too. So then there's the fear of getting something wrong, right? And I'll pray and pray, and I'll write down the revelations God has given me. But for me, I struggle with a concern of not having everything, right? Not sitting with it long enough. I'm never in a rush to do this stuff. I always be like, God, you got some more revelation? So, and God be like, put it out, get that dream out, okay? So that's something for me. But the more I use this gift and I obey God and I show up even when I'm uncomfortable, and I make these videos even when I don't necessarily feel like it, right? Jesus is Lord. He elevates this gift. He grows it. He gives me more. He shows me more, okay? When we use what God has given us, he will give us more. Whatever that is. Whatever it is, okay? So, yeah, he expects you to be using the gifts that he's given you however he told you to do it. However he told you to do it, for whoever that's for. He wants us to be fruitful and multiply. That was literally what he commanded man to do, to be fruitful and multiply. So, and that's something I saw maybe about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years. I had a dream where I saw God. Man, I'm not gonna say this verbatim, but basically in a dream, he was doing some work on the earth. Sometimes in dreams, it's like I'm kind of standing next to him. He like I be standing next to him watching him work sometimes. And he was like literally doing something out in the earth, and he gave the commandment, like I think he was pouring out blessings or something, and he gave the commandment to be fruitful and multiply. That's what he said, right? And so that is something that God is going to expect of us with what he gives us. None of the things he gives us, including money or finances or resources, none of this stuff is for us to just, stun on people. This is all for the glory of God. This is about bringing the kingdom of heaven to earth, right? This is always all about God's glory. Whatever God has given you, even if that's a spouse, you two are going to bring glory to God, right? With your marriage, with your home, the children that come from you, right? Jesus is Lord. Just like in the Bible, when God will bless, when certain people would plead with God to have a child, they would always offer that child back up to God, right? So the gifts that he gives us, ultimately, whatever the gift is, whether it's a spouse, a child, spiritual gifts, talents. Some of y'all are possibly amazing singers or drawers or writers, whatever. He expects us to use them as he calls us to, okay? And not to be timid and hide out of fear, okay? Okay, I didn't plan on saying that, so maybe that's for somebody. So the path the GPS system led me to, it turned into a narrow alley. One moment I'm walking like on the pathway of this complex. It seemed like an apartment complex. One moment I'm walking on that pathway, and suddenly my GPS system on my phone tells me to make a left, right? And when I turn to the left, I'm like, that can't be right, because to my left, it's a dark alley. And the pathway that I was on, that I was looking at with my natural eyes, you know how an apartment complex has that pathway, that concrete flooring. If I turned to the left, that flooring wasn't there. Instead, it was like grassy. Jesus is Lord. It was grassy. So I put the path the GPS led me to turned into a narrow alley. It looked dark and scary. And God had me add that God wants you to trust him. Okay? God wants you to trust him. It looked dark and scary, and it seemed off course from the normal path, okay? Remember, it was like the paths you see in an apartment complex, and I'm following and I'm walking it, and it looked off course from that normal path that you would normally walk down. But it was grassy. There was no concrete guiding that way. It was just grassy, okay? And it was not what I expected. It was not what I expected. Y'all, let me get all these notes out, so then I'm just going to flow with the rest of this. Holy Spirit could lead me. Okay. I'm going to come back to this part. Okay, so let me just expand on that. So my GPS system led me to make a left down this dark alley. I hesitated because I'm thinking to myself, this can't be right. It looks outside of the norm. I had some fears come to mind. This alley was so narrow and it had a little length to it. So I had all these different fears come to mind. One of the fears that came to mind is, what if I go down this dark alley and somebody comes behind me? The alley was so narrow. If somebody cornered me, I couldn't get around them because I would have walls on both my sides. Like that's how narrow the alley was. So I was thinking, what if I enter in and then a mugger come behind me? Then I would be trapped. Like I would have to try to run all the way to the other side. What if another mugger came on the other side? They could trap me because there was no dodging anybody on such a narrow alley. And it was dark. It was it was dim because it was so narrow. And so I had all these different fears coming to mind of what could happen if I took that path. Mind you, my GPS, and this was from God, directed me that way. That was the way home. I already knew that was the way. I just had to follow the instructions. Jesus is Lord. But I followed the instructions up until a certain point, until it looked scary, until I wasn't sure if I could trust it or not. Until I thought about all the what ifs, what could go wrong. Because a lot of things could go wrong in this dark alley, okay? And I couldn't properly see. A lot of things could go wrong. I could get attacked. I could get mugged. I could, suffer losses, right? Jesus is Lord. So what God brought to mind is, for some of the things God has been calling y'all to do, y'all may have obeyed up until a certain point, to where part of this transition, some of the moves he's calling you to make, it can look a little scary, okay? And where God had me add that he wants you to trust him, God is telling some of y'all to move and go places, and you have very little to your name, and you have no idea how you're going to survive something like that. That's scary. You don't know, you may have enough just to get you from point A to point B, but after that, you don't know. You literally don't know, and you will be literally completely 110% depending on God. Jesus is Lord. You will completely be depending on him 110%. You can't have backup plans for this. It's like Jesus Lord, the way God has showed me this is, some of the moves he's calling us to make, it kind of rids us and robs us of our backup plans. And we will literally just have to be stepping out on faith and trusting him. And that can be very, very scary, especially for people who have not been able to depend on other people. That's something God brought up. So through this process of purification and training, God has exposed a lot of people to us. And one thing he brought to mind is a lot of us have kind of always had to depend on ourselves. We have always kind of had to figure out things for ourselves. And Jesus is Lord. The kind of relationship God wants to have with you, he wants all of you. He wants all of you. He wants your heart. He wants you, all of you, for you to truly belong to him, to trust him, to trust his love for you. He's like calling so many people higher. For those who have gotten this far, you've been through the test, you've been through the training, you've been through the pruning, you've gotten this far. He's calling for all of you. And he wants you to trust him. And he wants you to take a leap of faith. We walk by faith, not by sight. When I saw that the path the GPS system was calling me to did not go the same way as the pathway that I saw right in front of me, it looked out of the norm. It didn't look safe. I felt like I couldn't protect myself in that alley. I feel like, what if this happened? What if that happened? Jesus is Lord. Something else God brought to mind. God told some people to leave certain jobs. And you may be like, I can't leave this job. What if this happened? What if that happened? Perhaps you've been trying to find another job. And he's like, I'm going to leave this job after I find another one. And you haven't been able to find another one. This is a possible example for somebody. Y'all take this word back to God in prayer. Do not just, I'm using examples God gives me. So do not just make moves based upon listening to this. But prayer is whoever this is for, you have a relationship with God for yourself, period. So that goes without saying. But take it to God in prayer, okay? For what parts are for you. But this is an example he gave me. He was calling some people away from certain jobs. They may have wanted to get a different job first, so it'd be safe for them to leave the one job. But God is just telling you to leave, even though you're not knowing where the next income is going to come for some people. Jesus is Lord. That's one example he showed me as well. Some of y'all, he's calling y'all to leave certain relationships. And there's a fear that's coming in that's like, but what if I leave this relationship, say it's a romantic relationship, and you really want to be married one day, and you're like, what if I leave this relationship and then I'm single for the rest of my life? It's a fear of letting go and trusting that God has better. Trusting that if you leave that relationship, God is going to provide you with the teammate that you need to do work with on this earth. He's going to provide you with a spouse that you can share a life with, right? You won't end up alone, okay? There's a temptation of fear that's going around. That's what I was getting from this. The reason I didn't turn down that narrow path, because I would have to be solely reliant on God to get me from point A to point B. There was no backup plans there. Jesus is Lord. It was his plan. It was all going to be on him. And that's why I said God really is calling for a lot of people to trust him like never before. Okay? Yeah, so some people may have been battling fears when it came to making a turn or a step in the direction, that next step or direction God was telling you to make. And so what happened was I actually ended up passing up the narrow way. I ended up passing it up. My GPS system told me to turn. I said, oh, that can't be right. And I passed it up. And then I had to turn back around and come make a U-turn. And then I think this is the last part I actually wrote in my notes for this. I passed it up at first. God said some people did not do it in the time frame that they were given at first, or they didn't follow the instructions right away, and it led to some delay, or things were, or they were looking for a different route, a safe route. Okay, so these are three different things God showed me, and so Jesus is Lord. So one of the assignments God gave me, he did give me a certain time frame on it. And I just, like I said, y'all like to use myself for example. This is something he brought to mind for me. He gave me a time frame on a certain assignment, and I was met with different hiccups on it. And it was different attacks too that I was dealing with. But the spiritual attacks kept coming. Jesus is Lord. But then it got to a point too where it just got frustrating. It got frustrating, and God did give me more time on it. I'm trying to make sure I say everything. So what God is bringing to mind, some of y'all, y'all may have discussed the time frame to get some things done, and you tried to get it done, but when you did, you were met with opposition, and you tried again and more opposition, and then you may have just gotten tired, and then it's been a lot of distractions too. And these are not making excuses. This is just facts. What some of y'all have been literally, like, some of y'all. Oh God, my battery's low. Jesus is Lord. Lord have mercy. I keep saying I got to do better with this battery. Okay, but this is what some of y'all have literally been dealing with. The spiritual warfare, the attacks, and you've been heavily isolated. You've been dealing with also more people being exposed in your life. And that's made it a little harder. But God still has that expectation of you to do what he told you to do. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. He still has that expectation of you to carry out that assignment, okay? He gave you more time. He still expects you to do it. And I mentioned on a previous video, I don't remember which one of the previous videos that I shared, that the other day, God's been talking a lot about giving birth, right? And the other day, he gave me a different analogy. And so he like, before I share with y'all how he said some people were crowning at certain points, and about, when a woman goes into labor, when her water breaks, she has contractions, and God referred to the spiritual warfare as contractions, because people were wondering, when would the spiritual warfare stop? It stops for a hot second, and then it starts right back up. And God said that it will continue, like a woman who's in the process of giving birth. It will continue to come like contractions up until the point that the baby is born. What you have to understand is the enemy's trying to stop you. He's trying to stop. He already knows you have the assignment. He already knows God is trying to transition you out. He already knows that God is trying to take you higher in him. This is what the enemy has feared, that you would get this far. Jesus is Lord. So he's going to do everything he can in his power to try to stop you. And God referred to them as this being the contractions, okay? And that it will continue until you push that baby out, till you get that thing done, right? Until you enter into that promise or that crossover, right? And this is just the enemy's feeble attempt to stop you. The only thing that can stop you is you, okay? If you give up, if you turn away, and, basically the only thing that can stop you is you. And what God is reminding me of, something he's been showing me, that it is so powerful to believe God. It is so powerful to come in agreement with him, okay? The enemy attacks us so much, where he attacks our mind. He tries to cause us to doubt. He tries to get us to look at the circumstances. He tries to use the people around us. But when you get in agreement with God and you believe God, that's something he's really been shining light with me on for the past couple months, how powerful that is, right? So, back to the analogy he showed me, y'all. So what he showed me this go round, in referring still to a woman who was pregnant, right, giving birth, he referred to the past couple months as trimesters, okay? So, like, he referred to May being the first trimester. Like, say she was impregnated the beginning of May or April. Some of y'all had instructions in April or May, right? Where God was shifting you, where he was transitioning you, where he was calling you to get in position. However that was, whether he said to leave that job, leave that place, whatever it was, leave that relationship. Some of these instructions took place in April, May, could have been before then, whatever the case may be. But the way he showed it to me, when God gave that instruction, that was like a seed being planted. It was like the baby, it was, and it was like that was the pregnancy in itself taking place, okay? And so how he showed me this, the month of May was like the first trimester. God already gave you that Jesus is Lord, that seed, he put it in there. So the month of May was like the first trimester. You already knew the instructions. You were clear on the instructions. You understood. Come through the month of June, it's like the second trimester. He referred to the month of July like the third trimester, okay? The month of July, for some people, this is when y'all are going to give birth to that big thing. You may have had multiple assignments, but the way he showed me this is like, for some people, this is like that big thing, like that promise, that big breakthrough that you have been struggling with, that the enemy has been coming up against you so hard. But it's like the favor and oh my God, just it's gonna bust through this month. That's how he showed it to me, that this will be like the month of July would be like the breakthrough month for a lot of people. It's like their third trimester where that baby coming, period. Period. Come hell or high water. If God gotta push you out of that job himself, if God gotta push you here, like, you might not like how he allows it to get done, but it's going to happen, okay? Jesus is Lord, it's going to happen. So that's what he showed me for this month or whatever. So if God has been giving you instructions, be doing it. Be doing it. Things can change literally overnight. And I know some of y'all may have been struggling with so much opposition. It's been a little discouraging. Jesus is Lord. But if God gave you any instructions at all that you can possibly do right now, do it. If you're battling fear, do it afraid, okay? Pray against that spirit of fear. If you're battling anxiety, pray against that. I know some of y'all got different gifts to where God is calling y'all to speak in different ways. It may not be doing exactly what I'm doing, but he's calling his people to be bold and courageous. He's calling for our gifts and talents. He's calling for us to get in position, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. So it's going to get to a point where God tries to allow you to do it yourself. You know, he's given ample time, and then he may allow for certain areas in your life to get shaken or become uncomfortable to get you where he needs you to go, to get you where you need to be. Y'all, when God was calling me to do this, I did not want to do this. Jesus is Lord. If you give me permission to stop, like, y'all forgive me. Okay, I love y'all, I do. But this is not something I necessarily ever wanted to do. And so I had to overcome fear a lot. Even just with this prophetic dream, I just felt, I had to overcome so much just to do it. Right? And I can pray and spend time with God and sit with God with it. And then I still don't feel like I'm prepared enough. And I had to overcome fear, anxiety, all kinds of things. The enemy likes to attack the mind a lot. The enemy likes to sow doubt and confusion a lot. The enemy, he always comes to steal the word. So when God gives you an assignment or something to do, or he speaks a word over you or whatever, the enemy always tries to come and steal. That's what he does. So I had to overcome so much to do this and get in this position. And God allowed my back to be put up against the wall several times, y'all, several times, just to get this out of me. And he said it was always there. I just had to give it permission to come out, right? So he's calling for a lot of y'all to be bold and courageous and walk into the places he's telling you to walk into the positions he's calling you to walk into, okay? Do it afraid. Still pray against that spirit of fear. We have to use our spiritual weapons more. That's something, y'all, we talked about. But he's calling us higher. He's calling us higher. The time for being timid is over. He's calling us higher, okay? Okay, so another example he used. Okay, some people didn't follow the instructions right away, which led to delay as well, okay? Because when I passed up that narrow path, he mentioned some people didn't follow the instructions right away, and they were looking for another route. So I saw the direction I was supposed to go, but I passed it up because I said it got to be a different way to get home. It got to be a different way to get to the house. And so some of y'all's like, it got to be a different way to get to the promise. It got to be a different way. So some of y'all, God was like, Some people just passed it up altogether, and they was looking for a different route, a different way to get this done, right? Jesus is Lord. A more comfortable way, a safe way. That's the word I wrote down. Okay, you guys, y'all please forgive me. My phone kept cutting off. I was recording this video with my phone, and my storage was so filled up, so it just kept cutting off. So I did clean it out and continue to record. But so if you see that the ending of this video is a little choppy and not smooth in transition like it should be, y'all forgive me. I did the best I could with it. So I'm gonna let y'all continue listening. But if you keep seeing that, you know, it's not as smooth with the transitions, it's because I was struggling, but I made it through, and I want y'all to hear the rest of it. Okay. All right, y'all, here's the rest. Okay, so what God was showing is some of y'all have possibly been looking for a safe way, like a safer way to get it done, and that has possibly led to some delay too, okay? Again, something I've been getting really, really heavy and strong from God is this level up, because God, remember I said he was calling us higher to a closer relationship with him. And when relationships grow with people, think about a friendship you have. Anytime a relationship is to grow, it's going to require trust. Okay? The height, like when I say he's calling us higher in him, you guys, this level he's calling us to requires trust. You can't even get there without trust. All right? Jesus is Lord. That's like say you're dating somebody and you're getting to know them. Y'all may be strangers at first. Over time, you may develop a friendship. God was just showing it to me like it's different stages you go through, right? You wouldn't marry somebody that you just met off the street. You don't trust them. I mean, if you're in your right mind or whatever, you're not going to marry somebody you just met off the street. You don't know them like that. You don't trust them. A higher relationship to the degree of marriage requires trust. Jesus is Lord. Okay, God, I didn't use that. God did not use me to use that example for nothing. He was bringing up marriage. You don't marry somebody you don't trust. The level God is calling y'all up to, because he's been preparing y'all to be a bride, us to be brides of his. We've been in training. We've been getting purified for those who have stuck it out this long, because y'all, a lot of people, that's another word. Some people didn't make it, right? God showed me this as us being in a war on a battlefield, and some of the soldiers getting knocked down and they didn't get back up. And he also referred to some of them getting brain trauma from getting knocked down. So some people, he showed me, it was somebody that we both followed each other or whatever. And their videos were so inspirational. Oh my God, they were like a prophetic voice, but also like they did kind of funny Christian videos as well. And it was just like, oh my God, they were, I don't know, I love their personality and their delivery on everything. And I just like, man, they are so talented and, you know, all this stuff. And I saw they stopped making videos. They hadn't made videos in a while, but then God showed me, and you know, long story short, God showed me they fell off. So they got knocked down. They went through some of the same things I went through, but when they got knocked down, they didn't get back up. And God has shown me this in dreams, to where a lot of the people I started with, they didn't make it, right? Jesus is Lord. Many are called, few are chosen, but not just that. I'm not saying that just for this part. Some of these people who fell down, some of the soldiers that fell down and didn't get back up, and some of them may seem like they off their rockers a little bit. Like, was you for real? Were you really for God before? Because, you know, they may be looking a little different these days. And it's not, the way God showed it to me was like a soldier. They got hit too hard on the head and didn't get back up. And so some of them, they're going to have deliverance, right? God showed me us in dreams that have gotten this far. We're going to go back for them to help set the captives free. We're not going to leave them there. We're going to go back for them, okay? That's something God has shown me. For those who didn't make it, who didn't get back up, who gave into the temptation, we're going to come make rounds back for them, okay? So that's something he showed me. But for those who have stood, you know, the test this far, the whole time he's been preparing us to be brides. Jesus is Lord. So that deeper level in relationship calls for a new level of commitment and a new level of trust. If you want to be the bride of Christ, if you want that level with God, that requires trust. So that's why God, Jesus is Lord, is requiring another level of trust from us. Before, he may have asked you to do something, and he may have given you some cushion. He may have, you may have felt like you had backup plans, even if you didn't even know that you didn't, because it was a time God called me to do something. He was calling me to do something, and I stay having backup plans, my backup plans, and I crave stability. And what he was calling me to do was like, I was looking at my funds and I was like, yeah, I can pay for this, but then what about after that? Am I gonna better still keep this up? And I was thinking about the future, because that's how I normally think. And God allowed me to think I had a backup plan because I thought I had some extra. And then when I started walking and doing the thing that he told me to do, them backup plans was gone. And I was literally walking by faith. But he supplied every step of the way, right? I'm the type of person, I don't like to start something I can't finish. If I can't see it feasibly possible that I'm going to be able to, say it's a website, say it's a business. If I don't see it feasibly possible that I'm going to be able to pay for the things, afford it in the long run, or even after a couple months, I'm not going to do it. That was my type of thinking. But the way God has been calling me out is like, he's been leading me to do things, and it's all been like faith, okay? Basically, you guys, it's been by faith. But before, when he did it, he gave me a little something. This go round, it's like how he's showing this to me for some of y'all. It's like he's just expecting you to make the moves, to do that thing he told you to do, whatever it is. It could be the simplest instruction. But some people have been just so discouraged, even though you're still here, right? You're still here, but you have been so discouraged that even following simple instructions have been hard. Jesus is Lord. And so if that's you, sit with God, spend time with him, get in his presence, cry your heart out to him, and let him refill you. Let him fill you back up. And partner with him to get it done, okay? Push and get it done. Partner with him, okay? Because some people just really need to cry out. And there is not a limited amount of times you can cry out. You cry out to God as much as you need to, okay? So that's for some people. Because it's been for some, it's small, simple instructions, and he just wants you to partner with him and get it done. Jesus is Lord. Oh, my God. This is already longer than I expected it to be. So, and I ain't even finished sharing the dream with y'all. Lord have mercy. So anyways, that's something God brought to mind. Some of the steps look a little scary. Some people have tried to take different routes based upon fear, and they can't see their backup plans. There is no backup plan. You're just going to be relying on God, and that's been a little scary because you may not have been able to depend on people in the past, but God is not man, okay? And this new higher level in him requires this trust. It requires it. And there may have been times, if you've been going through this process of training and purification, there you have suffered losses. You have lost some things in obeying God. You have lost some things. Some of y'all have had Job seasons where you have suffered loss, and there have been many witnesses to it. And some people are dealing with that too. Oh, Lord have mercy. A couple weeks ago, God brought to mind, I forgot the name of it. It's a term that soldiers have. Let me see. Okay, so something God showed me a couple of weeks back, that some people have been having like either spiritual PTSD or just like PTSD, like symptoms that a soldier would have after war, right? So y'all been being trained like as soldiers to be soldiers in God's army, right? But because of some of the things you've gone through in the process of training, some of y'all have been having PTSD. That's something God literally showed me one day, and I was like, what? And I looked it up because I was struggling with some of the symptoms, and I was like, Daddy, what's wrong with me? Why am I struggling like this? And he brought it up. He said, like, PTSD. That's what I was hearing. I'm like, what? And Then, he referenced the fact that we are like soldiers in the army of the Lord, right? So some of y'all are going to have to overcome that, and giving that to God, giving your worries and concerns to God, and trusting him no matter what he wants, no matter what's ahead, just trusting that whatever he's allowed to happen has been for your best, right? To develop things in you, to help you grow, to set you free. Okay? So for a lot of y'all, this next thing is requiring trust, and you have to be willing to trust him no matter what. Okay? Trust whatever he wants to do, however he wants to do it. Okay? Knowing that he has your best interest at heart. Okay? Jesus is Lord. So anyways, I'm going to continue with the dream. So after I sit there and I'm like trying to find a different route other than the route that the GPS system is taking me. Y'all know them little boxes that be in them apartment complexes? I don't know if it's like a fan, them little tin steel fan. I don't know what it is. But like when we were younger, we used to post up at those little boxes. But those little metal boxes, they real big at the apartment complex. I ended up standing on like next to one of those. And I don't know if they be hot or not, but I think I was leaning on it. And I was literally trying to figure out a different route because I didn't want to go the direction that the GPS system was taking me, which was basically God saying some people not want to go the direction that he was taking them because it seemed scary and they would have to rely 110% on him. And people have trust issues, okay? Jesus is Lord. That's just what he said. People have trust issues, but he's calling you higher in him, so you have to trust him. He's not asking you to trust man. He's asking you to trust him, okay? And so, okay, so when I'm sitting there and I'm trying to find a different route, what I end up doing is, so I'm trying to find a different route home. And what ended up happening, on my phone, 1 minute I'm looking at this GPS system saying, that can't be right. That can't be right. And I'm hearing God say, some of y'all said, God can't expect me to do that. No way he expects me to leave this job. Jesus is Lord. No way he expects me to do that. He can't. That can't be right. Jesus is Lord. So I'm sitting over there. I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, that can't be right. Looking at this GPS system like this thing got to be messed up. And while I'm trying to figure out a way around it, right, instead of just following a path, something happens with my phone and all of a sudden it taps into somebody's security feed. It taps into a celebrity security feed. This is a celebrity. It taps into their security feed of their home, and I see either their spouse or boyfriend. I don't know if they're married, but I see, their man is headed out the door. He's about to go out the door. He has a Bible in his hands. So I'm thinking maybe he's going to church or Bible study. I don't know. But then all of a sudden, he becomes so enraged that he throws his Bible on the ground and he has like this man tantrum to to where he started tearing up stuff in the house. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm seeing this on my phone. So my phone some way, somehow has tapped into their security feed. Like say if they had a Ring camera, my phone all of a sudden is picking up what's going on in their house. Okay. And I have the thought that paparazzi will pay a lot for this video. Jesus is Lord. This is the literal thought I had in my dream. Once I see that my phone is tapped into their security feed, not only could I watch it, I could rewind it, which means the video was mine. If I wanted to download it or keep it, it was mine. And this is a celebrity. I'm aware of who house this is. I don't know this person, but all of a sudden I could see what's going on in their house, right? And so I have the thought that I can get them a lot of money from the paparazzi if I sold them this video. And then I could get my way home even easier, right? Remember, I was looking for another way than the way the GPS system was showing me. So since I was looking for another way, I was considering other options. Jesus is Lord. When God is calling us to do certain things and we hesitate, it's almost like for some people, you're looking for a different route. And if you look for one, the enemy will give you one. God. Okay, so back to where we are. I'm having a thought that I could sell this to the paparazzi and that'll help me get home faster. That'll help me get a home or whatever. That's what I'm thinking, right? And I said, oh, I can't do that. I immediately say, I can't do that. That would be wrong, right? I'm a person of integrity. I could never do something like that. The fact that my phone tapped into their security feed spoke volumes. That basically, I shouldn't have been able to see what was going on in their house. I shouldn't have been able to tap into their camera system. That was private. That was a private moment. So for me to take advantage of something that happened in private so I could benefit from it for self, it wouldn't have helped nobody. It would have hurt their family. It would have hurt them, but it wouldn't have helped anybody but me. I was thinking to myself, how could I possibly live with myself? Like, even if it did help me find my way home or whatever, like towards that promise, even if it did help me get to the promise, how could I live with myself knowing that I did something that was out of my integrity, that was out of, this is not the kind of woman I am. How could I even enjoy the promise if I got it the wrong way? Jesus is Lord. And so immediately I said, no, I can't do that. But then I paused and I thought on it for a little bit. I wonder how much they would pay me for this video. Jesus is Lord. And when I thought about it, I looked at the video again, right? So I thought about it. I said, I wonder how much they would pay me for this video. I look at the video again, and then I find out not only do I have access to this video of him like having getting real angry and tearing up the house, I have access to all their videos. They have different security cams in their house, and I have access to all of them. So I could post up somewhere and watch their daily life, and I could find more videos. I knew this man had a temper problem. I knew there were probably worse videos on there. And this particular celebrity, I knew people would pay a lot of money for if I shared it with the paparazzi. And I had several videos to share. I could go through them and find the worst of the worst to share with them. And I know they would pay me so well, I could afford to get to that promise even quicker, okay? Because that's what the home represents, is the promise. Jesus is Lord. So what God showed me with this is when I didn't take the course he told me to, and I was trying to consider something different, a different option. For some of y'all, when y'all didn't do what God told you to do and you were trying to consider a different option other than what he showed you, the enemy will bring a different option, okay? But God said that God's way, Jesus is Lord, God's way is the best way. If you're looking for another option, the enemy will make sure you find one. And what it will do, though, it will chip away at your integrity and at your character. And it will take away from the person that God is calling you to. It will put you back in a position of bondage some way, somehow. So I would have been able to get to the promise if I would have sold their videotapes and stuff. But how would I have been able to enjoy it and live with myself knowing that I did it in a way that, goes against a person who, just integrity. That's just what came to mind. It will be out of character for me. Jesus is Lord. So some of y'all, some things that y'all been wanting so bad, and you may not want to take the route that God is calling you to take to get to it. You may have been coming up under a lot of opposition, and so you may have paused on doing what God told you to do. And when you paused, the enemy gave you a different option. Okay, that's what God is saying on this part. Some of y'all have been tempted to do something else outside of what he's guided you to do, or to compromise in the situation. Jesus is Lord. Some of y'all may have been tempted to compromise in the situation because it may have been a little easier, a little bit more comfortable, but God is still saying that God's way is the best way, okay? And some of these situations where the enemy is subtle. He's so subtle. Some of them can seem innocent. For instance, if God caused you to go away and leave a place or whatever, and you took somebody with you, and God didn't tell you to take somebody with you, he told you to go alone, but somebody, said they wanted to, right? If that was a situation like that, you may think, oh, you would feel better not doing it alone. It'll be less scary. But if God didn't tell you to, then that's going to be a problem, because there are going to be problems that come along with bringing people that God didn't tell you to bring. Okay, that's one example he gave me. When you compromise with the instructions that God has given you, it's going to affect something that God was trying to do in and through you with this, okay? So even if I got home doing it that way, even if I got to the promise doing it that way, my character would not be the same, because that would have been outside of my character. I couldn't say I had integrity by doing something like that, right? But the enemy made sure that I had access to it. Jesus is Lord. I didn't hack that person's camera system to see what was going on in their house. It was put in front of me when I was looking for a different option. Jesus is Lord. So that's something God brought up. Some people are tempted to go a different direction. And that's why he basically titled this that God's way is the best way. He understands everything you've been going through, y'all. I say this all the time, y'all. I'll be trying to make some little quick videos, but everything that I said that God led me to say needed to be said. And I was hesitant on this because I didn't know how much to say. But some people have been struggling with the transitions and doing the instructions that God has given you for different reasons. He wants you to know he understands. He wants you to know you're not alone. He's calling you higher. He's calling you into a deeper relationship with him. He wants you to trust him because he's calling you higher. And a relationship cannot grow without trust. Jesus is Lord. A relationship cannot grow without trust. So many people we want to be the brides. Okay. Brides got to trust. The brides of Christ, we got to trust. We have to lean out on our own understanding. We have to submit ourselves to him fully, and we have to trust him because everything that we have belongs to him. Everything that we own belongs to him. Every cent in our bank account belongs to him. When you are a bride of Christ, you are not your own. You were bought with a price. Everything you have belongs to him. Okay? So he wants us to trust him with everything we are, with everything we have, with everything that he's about to cause us to become. A lot of y'all are becoming. A lot of y'all, he's setting y'all free. Jesus is Lord. God has told me this before, that so many of us have barely scratched the surface of our identity. And what I'm getting from him, it's like this next level. Jesus is Lord. This is what we've been wanting for so long. But the enemy has tried to trick us to be afraid of it. Okay? But you just got to walk through it. You just got to do it. Partner with God and do it. Cry out to God and do it. Fast and pray and do it. Worship and do it. Worship God and do it. Use your spiritual weapons and do it. All right? God wants you to know you are not alone, and still his way is the best way, okay? Jesus is Lord. All right, you guys, that was it. That was basically the dream. I was sitting there. I went from saying, no, I can't do this. I can't sell these people pictures and their videos and profit off of it. That's wrong. That's wrong. I can't get home like that. I can't do that. And then I was considering it. I was considering doing it because I didn't want to go down that narrow path. Jesus is Lord, but how would I have lived with myself? My God, Lord have mercy. How would I have lived with myself? So whatever the situation is, like I said, some of y'all are being tempted to compromise. Some of y'all are being tempted to, I don't say go the easy route or make a different choice or selection. I'm going to say this for anybody who's waiting on kingdom marriage, because you do want to be married. Some of y'all may have gotten frustrated with the process and be tempted to just go with the counterfeit because they're available and they say they're ready for marriage and you want to be married. So some people have been tempted in that way to take an easier way out. But God is not nowhere near that. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord. He ain't nowhere near that. Lord have mercy. I'm just imagining the idea of me selling this in a dream. I had access to their videos. I'm imagining the idea. I was imagining the idea of me actually selling their videos of what took place in their personal private home and selling it to the paparazzi and then going off and living my best life, and I'm supposed to be a woman of God. I don't know how I could have peace after that. So some of these temptations that y'all are seeing will rob you of peace. God has been developing different things in you, whether that's character, integrity. I know I keep saying that a lot because those are the main things I was hearing, but God has been shaping and molding you. The enemy wants to take all that away. God's trying to give you the characteristics of him, to be more like him. The enemy wants to take that away. So whatever this temptation is, this option is, would be taking things away from you, good things that God has already produced in you. It will be causing you to compromise, and it will also jeopardize your peace in the long run, because there's no way you're going to better enjoy it not getting it that way. Okay. Jesus is Lord. So once again, y'all, God's way is the best way. His way is the best way. Okay, you guys, I love y'all so much. That was the word. That was the message. I pray I said everything God wanted me to say. You guys, if God leads y'all to sow, please do so. I got to add that in here because this dire right now is very badly needed. So if he does lead you to sow, please do so. And if anybody has sold, for those who have sold, thank you so much. Thank y'all so much. I love y'all so much. Y'all know I don't even like mentioning it on a video, but I have to. So, but only if God leads you to do so. And I always pray he blesses it a trillionfold. Jesus is Lord. I got to make another video because God really does. He's not playing about any of us. He ain't playing about none of us, y'all. But Lord have mercy. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that he wants me to add for this particular message. But that was about it, though. He's calling us higher. He wants us to obey, get in position, trust him, trust him, trust him. Just trust him. He's calling you higher for wherever this is for, okay? Okay, you guys. And once again, he titled this, God's way is the best way. His way is the best way. So even though the path, it seems that he's leading you on, you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel. You may be trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do after this? It may be a lot of what ifs, but you have to trust him. Trust him to catch you. Trust him to be there. Trust him to meet you there at that scary place, at that narrow path. Trust that if you enter into that place and you follow the directions he's giving you, he will meet you there and you won't be alone. You will be protected. He will protect you. He will guide you the rest of the way, and he won't lead. You won't be alone, okay? You will not be alone. He will be your light in a dark tunnel. And the reason it was dark too was because what he's bringing to mind is so many people, they can't see past a certain thing. And since they can't see past a certain thing, they can't see doing it. Because they're looking like, okay, stability. Okay, what's going to happen after that? And, oh, I don't know. Different fears and concerns. But God wants us to be like a little child with him and just trust him. If daddy say he got it, he got it. Just trust him. Show up, obey, listen, and know that he's calling you higher. So he's requiring a new level of trust from you, okay? Okay, you guys. All right, that was it. That was the dream. That was the word. God's way is the best way. His way is the best way. All right, y'all. I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much, and I pray it's blessed whoever it was for. I pray it blessed whoever it's for. I love y'all so much, and y'all be blessed, okay? And remember, his way. His way is the best way, okay? So if you have been considering, if the enemy's been tempting you with an idea. So basically, you guys, if the enemy has been tempting you to go another route, don't do it, because basically there will be no peace. You'll have no peace, okay? So if the enemy does tempt you to do something outside of what God is telling you to do, or a compromise that you know God really wouldn't be pleased with, do not do it. It may seem like it'll be helpful, but there will be no peace. You wouldn't have any peace. It wouldn't end well. The way God is showing it to me, it wouldn't end well. It may look like a good solution at the time, but if you know it's something that God, just stick to what God has told you to do, okay? Because the end result of that, of choosing that temptation, you will have no peace, okay? That's what God was basically showing me, okay? His way is the best way, and stick to what he's been telling you to do. All right? Jesus is Lord. Okay? I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much. I gotta go because I gotta get my phone straight. You keep cutting off on me, but I love y'all so much. And y'all be blessed. Okay, hey you guys, I had to come back on here and add this. So as I was listening to, this recording, this dream, it's some things that God brought to mind that I missed at first. And so what he brought to mind, remember the part on the dream where I was talking about, once I got on the path in that apartment complex and I was walking, I ended up pulling out my cell phone, and I had the idea to use the GPS system in there, to get home. I had the idea if I didn't use it, I could lose it, right? That if a cop or police officer saw me, they would take it, right? Jesus is Lord. When I was listening to this with God and going over this part with God, I heard God refer to the cell phone as gifts, right? And remember, I mentioned that he wants us to use our gifts. So, but when I listened to everything as a whole, God showed me this in a different way. So some of y'all, since God referred to that cell phone as a gift, and I was using my GPS system in it, what God showed me was it's your gifts that are going to make way for you, okay? So he referred to the phone as a gift. God is calling some of y'all to use your gifts to get you home, to get you to that promise. All right. I think I mentioned before on another video that there's been another awakening too. And so in this time right now, God is calling people to use their gifts because it's heavily needed right now. Okay, so yeah, that's what he was showing me. So some of y'all, he's calling y'all, whatever gift you have, however he's telling you to use it, whatever steps he's telling you to take, if it's having to deal with starting a business, writing a book, if you are making music, whatever it is, and the steps God is telling you to take, start the podcast, whatever it is, it's for a reason. Like I mentioned before, he said, he showed me there's been another awakening. Something else he mentioned, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. He's going to use our gifts to help those that he's calling as well. A lot of them, they're going to have to learn a lot of information just like we did. And he's putting us in position to receive them. He needs people he can trust to receive them. So that's just one thing. But from what he was showing me, though, you guys, whatever the information he's giving you to do, the instructions he's giving you to do with your particular gift, whatever your gift is, he expects you to use it. Okay? If I didn't use that GPS system, I felt like I was going to get in some trouble because I was expected to be using it. Why else would I have it if I was not going to use it? Okay? That's what it felt like in a dream. So whatever steps God has been telling you to take, and even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's scary, even if you're a little shy, I notice God likes to use the shy people a lot these days, to where you have to face your fears. It's out of your comfort zone. You may not want to be seen. You may not really want the spotlight like that. Jesus is Lord. And for a lot of reasons, that's why God is calling you, right? Because you will be bringing his glory. He will share his glory with you, but you're not just have to, have the glory so bad. You're fine being in the background for some of y'all, okay? Jesus is Lord. So anyways, on that part, God was just saying that something he brought to mind, whatever instructions that he's giving you, and Jesus is Lord, you guys. When I tell you so many distractions, Lord, Father, help me. Whatever instructions he has been giving you, it's a part of getting you from point A to point B. He's developing more things in you, but it's also a part of you getting home, getting to that promise. It's going to play a part in you getting there, okay? I used my cell phone. I was using the GPS system in my cell phone to get from point A to point B. I was using it to get somewhere. It was a part of me getting to where I needed to go, okay? Up until I came to a point where I didn't like where it was taking me next. I didn't like that it was taking me down a narrow alley. That made me uncomfortable. I used it up until a point that it made me uncomfortable. Okay, so some people, you may have been excited at first with the instructions God was giving you pertaining to your gift. You may have just, it may have been easy to obey with the first couple of steps. But then it's gotten to a point where now it's coming up against your comfort zone. And you may have to face some fears, okay? So that's just for some people. Jesus is Lord. And something else he showed me, and I just want to make sure I say this very clearly. That gift and those steps that God is telling you to take pertaining to it is a part of you getting to that promise. It's going to play a part with you becoming and getting to that promise. It's a part of it. It's a part of the process, okay? Okay, y'all. So I hope I said enough for that part. Then the second thing he showed me, again, pertaining to the cell phone, being a gift that was given from God, basically, right? God gives good gifts. Towards the end of this dream, remember, it shifted from being a GPS system. One moment, I'm looking at a GPS system in my phone. The next minute, I'm looking at somebody's camera feed in their home. That should be illegal, okay? That should be illegal because that is not my camera. That is not my home. So I shouldn't have any access to what's going on in their home, right? But here I am with access to what's going on in somebody else's home because I was looking for other options. Okay, I was looking for other options. So what God brought to mind is some people being tempted to use the gifts or things that he's given them, because he referred to the phone again as a gift, being tempted to use that gift. I don't want to say for evil, but to use it in a negative way, okay? Just like people who are prophetic, just because God makes us aware of certain things about other people or shares certain things with us, he has a certain expectation of us and how we use the information he gives us. When people have different spiritual gifts, they're not supposed to be using them illegally. Jesus is Lord. We're supposed to use them the way God instructs us to use them, right? And ultimately, it's going to help to save. It's going to help to bring glory to God. It's going to basically be used for, basically its purpose, okay? So God was just showing that some people were literally being tempted to use their gift the wrong way, okay? So that's just something I want to add because he did refer to the phone being a gift in both parts. And so for some people, their gifts could possibly be manipulated. Yes, I could have used my phone as a GPS system to follow and, help me get to the place that God was trying to take me, or I could have allowed it to be abused. He brought up abusing the gift by letting it guide me to do something that was out of character or take me a different direction that I know he wouldn't be there for. I know he wouldn't be a part of, okay? Another example he brought up, someone who God promised marriage to, and perhaps he promised you a certain person and that person doesn't seem to be having it together or seem like they're ready. And you may kind of feel like Sarah and Abraham. Sarah was waiting so long for the promise. She thought she could help God out and have, a child through her servant. Instead, thought she could get her husband to get somebody else pregnant instead and get the promise her own way. So for some people, this is another scenario God brought up. God knows you God knows you want to be married, and some people may just go ahead and take whoever they can get or whoever that seems to be available. Or I don't want to say it like that, y'all, but some people may, I've seen this in dreams too, be tempted just to marry someone, even if it's not the person that God told you to, and you're not going to have peace in that relationship if you do so, okay? So that was just those were just different things God has shown me with this. So I just want to add it. He brought up people using their gifts unlawfully, or allowing the enemy to manipulate their gift, to use it in a way it was never created to be used. Okay? Jesus is Lord. And I think that's it, you guys. But you already know if God leads me to add more, I will. But that was basically it. Those were some things that he highlighted. So I just wanted to share that to make sure I gave y'all everything that he showed me with this dream. Okay. All right, y'all. I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much. And y'all be blessed. Okay, you guys. Then lastly, something that God brought up that he wanted me to add. He mentioned how I said before that some people you have been struggling. It's like you've been hitting certain brick walls. Is there like certain obstacles? These are the things that I referred to in previous words as giants. You've been coming up against different giants. You are trying to do the assignment. You are trying to do some of the things God told you to do, but there are certain areas you've been limited in because you keep coming up against the same giant in the same area over and over again, and it's been a little discouraging, right? Jesus is Lord. So for those people, God does understand you have been trying. It's been discouraging because it seems like that one area is an obstacle that you feel like you can't get around, right? Jesus is Lord. So just one thing he mentioned is this month with this is like a breakthrough month. The month of July is like a breakthrough month. This is the month that things shift and change and the giants will be knocked down. Okay. I don't know if this was a week or so ago. There was a word I put out. Let me see if I can find the notes for it real quick because this is pertaining to this message as well. Or he literally gave me something to add on there. Let me see, y'all. Okay. Okay, I found it, y'all, and I'm just gonna read it to y'all because I believe he's leading me to add this to this word as well. The notes he gave me that I added on the previous word, I think about a week ago, is the walls will come tumbling down. Okay, the walls will come tumbling down. Giants will fall, and when they do, they'll scatter. Okay, this is something he gave me a week or so ago. He said the walls will come tumbling down, giants will fall, and when they do, they'll scatter. A gathering is taking place. God is gathering up his lost sheep, his prodigals, his remnant to get in position and take their. Hold on. Okay, you guys, I'm sorry. I keep getting interrupted. I'm going to read this again, okay? So the giants will fall. Okay, again, from the very beginning, God said the walls will come tumbling down. The walls will come tumbling down. Giants will fall, and when they do, they'll scatter. A gathering is taking place. God is gathering up his lost sheep, his prodigals, his remnant, to get in position and take their place. Crowns are shifting. Okay? Crowns are shifting. A transfer of powers in a tight leash. These are the words and dreams that he's brought up to me. There are dreams that he titled. One dream he had me share titled The Transfer of Powers. He mentioned that, so that's taking place. Then also tight leash. In that dream, he mentioned where he will be reeling in the world's favorites and setting them down and then sending out his favorites, his chosen, out in the world, okay? Jesus is Lord. He's also mentioned to me about the wrong people being in a position of power who have been heavily abusing their power. Why it's so important that this is part of the reason God allows us to go through the different things we go through in training. This is why he allows us to be humbled and to be purified while we have to go through our deliverance process, why he has to teach us to be quick to repent, right? Why we have to be open to correction. When God corrects us, he corrects us because he loves us. Something he's been mentioning to me a lot lately and shining light on is the process at times has seemed so brutal but necessary to make sure that he puts the right people in position this time, okay? He brought up Christianity. I say Christianity because that's been the biggest religion that has claimed to represent him, claimed to know and believe that Jesus is Lord, right? He brought up the fact that a lot of people who have been in a position of power and leadership have abused that position for a very long time. They've used their gifts, the position he's given them, and some people he didn't even give them that position. They just saw an opportunity in it and they took it. Okay, so he was saying that some people have been abusing that position for such a long time they're supposed to represent him, but they've been misrepresenting him. Okay? So that's why there's such an importance for his remnant, his people that he's calling to be in position. You may feel like it's other people doing this. Why do I need to do it? Especially those who don't want to be seen. But God needs people after his own heart in leadership positions. He needs people after his own heart that he can trust to receive his lost sheep. He needs people after his own heart who he knows won't abuse them, won't use them, won't manipulate them, won't use the gifts that God has given them, in the position and the power and leadership that God has given them to abuse the people under them, to mislead them intentionally for their own benefit. So another thing God brought up, I could have used my phone for good, right? I could have used my gifts for good to go to the places and do the things that God was telling me to do and leading me. Or I could have used it for evil. I could have used it for bad, to manipulate or hurt others, to get what I wanted. Okay? And he's brought that up in different ways of people being in leadership, abusing the flock, using their gifts, using their position to abuse instead of help. So he had to test our hearts with money, with finances, with loss, with gain. Love has to be the motivation behind everything. Above all, we love. Because God said love was the way to cover over a multitude of sins. Okay? So, okay, you guys, Jesus is Lord. I just wanted to add that for whoever needed to hear it. If you have been coming up against different opposition, brick walls, it seems like giants, you're really trying here and you're tired because it's like every time you try, it's a giant there. This is the month that giants get knocked down, so try again. Partner with God, do the step-by-step he tells you to do, and try again. Continue. Okay? So I just want to add that because he did say this was the month too, that for some people, those giants will fall. All right? There's something about this month, okay? And continuing into the fall for the people of God because judgment is heavily taking place and harvest is here, okay? All right, y'all. I love y'all so much. I believe that was it. I'm going to hurry up so I can go ahead and get this out to y'all. But I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much. I pray this blessed whoever it was for. And y'all be blessed.